place where the sea remembers. Welcome, dear listener. You have arrived. This is Moonlight Stories, a quiet space created for the late hours, when the world slows down and the mind begins to wander softly. Here, we tell ancient legends, forgotten myths, and calm stories meant to guide you gently toward rest. If these stories bring you comfort, you are warmly invited to subscribe to the channel, to leave a like, and to share in the comments which legend, myth, or place you would like to visit together in future nights. Your ideas help shape the journeys we take. Now, allow your breathing to soften. Let the day loosen its hold. There is nothing you need to solve tonight. This story does not rush. It does not demand attention. It moves like the tide, slowly, patiently, carrying you with it. Tonight, we return to the sea. Not the sea of maps and borders, but the sea of memory, to a legend older than names, older than ships, older than fear. This is the story of the mermaid who sang the sea to sleep. The mermaid who sang the sea to sleep. A long sea legend told for rest, memory, and dreams. The ocean, before songs, had names. Long before the sea was divided into oceans and gulfs, before it was measured, crossed, or conquered, it was believed to be a living presence, aware, sensitive, and deeply responsive to the world around it. Ancient coastal peoples did not see the ocean as empty water. They believed it listened. They believed it remembered every footstep along the shore, every grief whispered into the wind, every joy that dissolved into laughter near the waves. The sea, they said, carried the emotional weight of the world, absorbing what land could no longer hold. On calm days, the ocean breathed gently. On restless days, it reflected the imbalance of the world above. And when the sea could not sleep, neither could those who lived beside it. Old legends speak of nights when waves rose without wind, when tides pulled too strongly, when fishermen woke with heavy hearts and children dreamed of falling endlessly through dark water. Elders would gather near the fire and say the same thing, always in lowered voices. The sea has forgotten its rhythm. In those early myths, balance did not come from force or command. It came from listening. And when listening failed, There were beings rare, quiet, and almost forgotten, whose purpose was not to rule the ocean, but to calm it. She was one of them. She was not called the siren in those days. She was not a warning, nor a temptation. She was known simply as the Quiet One. Some later cultures would name her, giving her titles, turning her into story and symbol. But in the oldest versions of the legend, she remained unnamed. To name her too clearly, it was believed, would bind her to human expectations. And she was never meant to belong to the human world. She lived where the water grows deep but gentle, where light fades slowly instead of vanishing, where sound becomes soft, stretched thin by distance and time. Her body was shaped by the sea itself, fluid, patient, enduring. Unlike the creatures of later myths, she did not sing to lure sailors. She did not desire ships, voices, or lives. She sang to the ocean. Her song was not made of words or melody. It could not be remembered or repeated. It was closer to breath than music. Long, steady waves of sound that reminded the sea how to settle, how to release what it carried, how to rest. When she sang, storms loosened their grip. Currents slowed. The ocean remembered itself. And sometimes, far from the shore, people slept more deeply without knowing why. The night, the sea grew restless. There came a time, as all legends eventually do, when balance weakened. Stories differ on what caused it. Some say it was war, carried across the water like smoke. Others say it was forgetting, the slow forgetting of old rituals, of gratitude, of listening. Perhaps it was simply the weight of too many unspoken sorrows sinking into the sea. What is certain is this: the ocean became uneasy. Storms arrived without warning. Waves struck the shore with unfamiliar force. Nets returned empty. Even on clear nights, the water moved restlessly, as if searching for something it could not find. Along the cliffs of a small coastal land, people slept lightly. Dreams came sharp and broken. Children woke crying, unable to explain what they had seen. The elders spoke again of the old belief: when the sea cannot rest, neither can the world. On one such night, when clouds pressed low and the moon hid its face, a young woman named Ayla stood alone above the water. She was not chosen, not trained, not powerful. She was simply attentive. From early childhood, Ayla had noticed things others ignored. She felt shifts in the wind before storms arrived. She sensed when tides would pull harder than expected. Sounds carried differently to her, deeper, slower, more layered. People called her quiet. Some called her strange. But the oldest women in the village watched her with careful eyes, whispering among themselves that she listened the way people once did. That night, as the wind tugged gently at her cloak, Ayla felt a heaviness in the air. Not fear, but tension, like breath held too long. She stepped closer to the edge of the cliff and placed her palm against the stone. And beneath the sound of waves, she heard it. A voice, not above the water, not carried by wind. It rose from below, from the deep places where the sea holds memory. The water beneath the cliffs began to glow faintly, not bright, not sudden, as if moonlight had slowly sunk beneath the surface. The sea did not open violently. It parted the way sleep opens, gradually, without resistance. And from that soft light, the mermaid emerged. The mermaid of quiet waters. She did not rise dramatically. There was no spray, no sudden movement. She appeared the way mist gathers over water slowly, respectfully, as if the sea itself was offering her forward. Her hair drifted around her like dark kelp threaded with silver light. Her eyes held no hunger, no curiosity, no demand. They held recognition. She looked at Ayla not as a stranger, but as someone who had been listening all along. And then she sang. The sound did not travel outward. It moved inward. Ayla felt it pass through her chest, through her breath, through the stone beneath her feet. The wind softened. The waves below the cliff eased, lowering themselves as if remembering something long forgotten. The ocean began to rest. The song lasted only as long as it needed to. When it faded, the water remained calm. The glow dimmed. The mermaid sank back into the deep without a single ripple of regret. That night, along the coast and far beyond it, people slept deeply, not dreamlessly, but peacefully. And somewhere beneath the waves, the sea exhaled. The days after the song, after that night, the sea remained calm. Not unnaturally still, not frozen or empty, but settled, as if something inside it had finally loosened its grip. Waves returned to their familiar rhythm. Tides arrived when expected. Nets came back heavy with fish, and boats no longer fought against unseen resistance. People spoke of it quietly, cautiously, as if raising their voices might disturb whatever fragile balance had returned. Some said the storms had simply passed. Others said the season had changed. But the elders, who remembered older stories, exchanged knowing glances and said very little. Ayla did not speak of what she had seen. She returned to her daily life, gathering water, mending cloth, walking the narrow paths above the shore. Yet everything felt subtly different. Sounds carried farther. The sea's presence pressed gently against her awareness, even when she was far from the cliffs. At night, she slept deeply, her dreams slow and expansive, filled with drifting light and distant currents. Sometimes, just before waking, she heard it again, not the song itself, but its echo, a memory of rhythm, a reminder of breath. She did not seek the mermaid. She did not call out. Somehow, she knew the meeting had not been an accident, but neither was it meant to be repeated on command. The sea does not respond to demands. It responds to listening. And Ayla listened. Days passed, then weeks. The ocean remained calm, but something beneath its surface began to shift again, not toward chaos, but toward connection. The mermaid had returned the sea to balance, but balance, like breath, cannot be held forever without renewal. The old legends say that the Quiet One could not sing endlessly. Her song was not infinite. It required something in return, not sacrifice, not worship, but presence, a witness, someone anchored to the land who could feel the sea's rhythms without trying to control them. That was why Ayla had been able to hear her. That was why the sea had opened. The second meeting, when silence speaks. It happened at dawn, when the sky was neither dark nor light. Ayla walked the familiar path above the water, the air cool against her skin. Mist hovered low, blurring the horizon. The sea below was smooth, breathing slowly, like a sleeping animal. She did not expect anything, but expectation, the stories say, is rarely required. The water began to glow again, softer than before, subtler, as if reluctant to draw attention to itself. The light did not spread across the surface this time. It gathered closer to the rocks, where the land met the sea. Ayla knelt, steadying herself against the stone. The mermaid did not rise fully. Only her face appeared above the water, framed by drifting strands of hair, her eyes reflecting the pale sky. They looked at one another for a long moment. No fear passed between them, no urgency. Then, without moving her lips, the mermaid allowed something else to pass. Not a song, but a feeling. Ayla felt it bloom in her chest. The weight the sea carried, the memories it held, the tension that returned whenever the world above forgot its rhythm again. Ayla understood without words. The sea could be calmed, but it could not calm itself forever. The mermaid's role was not to fix imbalance, but to restore memory, to remind the ocean how to return to rest. Yet memory fades, even in water. Ayla placed her hand against the stone, grounding herself, and let her breathing slow. She did not try to answer. She did not promise anything. She simply stayed. That was enough. The mermaid's eyes softened. The glow faded. The water closed gently, as if tucking itself back into sleep. From that morning onward, Ayla felt something settle into her life. A quiet responsibility, not chosen, but accepted. She became attentive in a new way, listening not only to the sea, but to the world around her. She noticed when people moved too quickly, when anger lingered too long, when sorrow went unspoken. She learned that imbalance does not announce itself loudly at first. It whispers. When the sea dreams through humans. In later versions of the legend, this is where the mermaid begins to fade from the story, not because she disappears, but because her presence shifts. She is no longer only a being of water. She becomes something else, a rhythm carried through human breath, human sleep, human attention. Ayla never sang the mermaid's song. She could not. No human voice could hold it. But she learned to live in its rhythm. When storms gathered, she sat near the water, breathing slowly. When fear spread through the village, she spoke gently, grounding others without explanation. Children slept better near her. Animals remained calm in her presence. The elders began to say that the sea listened through her. And perhaps it did. The mermaid did not return often after that. She did not need to. Her purpose was not to remain visible. Like tides, she moved when needed, withdrew when balance was restored. Yet on certain nights, when the moon hung low and the ocean grew restless again, those who listened carefully said they could hear it. Not a song, a memory of one, a rhythm moving through water, land, and sleep alike. When balance begins to fracture, balance rarely breaks all at once. In the old myths, it is never thunder that announces imbalance. It is silence arriving where sound once lived. It is the way birds hesitate before landing, the way water withdraws just a little too far from the shore, the way dreams become shallow, repeating themselves without resolution. The people along the coast did not notice the change immediately. The sea remained calm on the surface, obedient to the memory of the song. Boats still returned safely. Storms stayed distant. But beneath the calm, the ocean had begun to hold something again. A weight without release. Ayla sensed it first through her sleep. Her dreams, once wide and drifting, grew heavier. She dreamed of water pressing inward instead of flowing freely. She dreamed of tides circling endlessly, unable to settle. Sometimes she woke with her chest tight, her breath shallow, as if she had been holding something for too long. During the day, she noticed it in small ways. Fish moved differently beneath the surface, their patterns less fluid. The wind hesitated before shifting direction. Even the stone paths near the cliffs felt tense beneath her feet, as though the land itself was listening too closely. The elders gathered again, this time without ceremony. "The sea remembers," one of them said quietly. "But memory alone does not heal." Another nodded. "It must be carried." They did not say the mermaid's name. They did not need to. Ayla sat among them, silent. She felt no pride in being noticed, no sense of destiny, only a quiet understanding that the rhythm she carried was being asked to move again, not through force, but through continuation. The ocean does not forget suddenly. It forgets slowly, and when it does, the world begins to feel slightly out of step. The place where water listens. The legends say that when balance weakens beyond a certain point, there are places where the sea listens more carefully than elsewhere. They are not marked. They are not sacred by decree. They become what they are through repetition, through generations of footsteps, breath, waiting. One such place lay far beyond the cliffs, where stones sloped gently into the water, and the tide moved inward without resistance. It was there that Ayla felt drawn, not by command, but by resonance. She went alone. The sky was pale, stretched thin with cloud. The sea mirrored it, neither dark nor bright. She walked until her feet touched water, then further still until the hem of her dress darkened with salt. She sat. She did not sing. She did not pray. She breathed slowly, deeply, patiently. Time loosened its grip. The world narrowed to sensation, the cool pull of water, the rhythm of her lungs, the subtle movements beneath the surface. She felt the sea respond, not dramatically, but attentively, as if leaning closer. And then she felt it, the presence returning, not rising, not emerging, simply there. The mermaid did not appear in form. She did not need to. Instead, the water around Ayla warmed slightly, the pressure easing, the tension dissolving just enough for breath to flow freely again. This time, the exchange was quieter. The mermaid did not offer song. She offered memory images drifting into Isla's awareness like fragments of ancient sleep. Shorelines untouched by fear. Nights when humans moved slowly, spoke carefully, and rested without guilt. Ayla understood then what the sea required. Not intervention, not rescue, but remembrance carried gently forward. The sea learns to rest through dreams. As years passed, the legend shifted again. Ayla grew older, not suddenly, not painfully, but steadily, like tides reshaping a coast without ever appearing to move. Her hair silvered, her steps slowed, yet the rhythm within her remained unchanged. Children were drawn to her presence. They slept more easily near her. When nightmares came, they faded quickly. Parents noticed that evenings felt calmer when Ayla was nearby, as though something unseen had softened the edges of the day. The mermaid's presence became less visible, more diffuse. She was no longer a figure rising from the water. She was a pattern moving through rest itself. When the sea grew uneasy, people dreamed of water not drowning, not storms, but vast open spaces where breath came easily. In some versions of the myth, it is said that the mermaid chose to become something else entirely. Not a being of flesh and fin, but a current moving through sleep, through memory, through the spaces where consciousness loosens its grip. Her song did not vanish. It transformed. It became the way waves slow at night, the way the body relaxes when it feels held, the way deep rest arrives without being summoned. And so, the sea learned to sleep again, not alone, but through the dreaming of the world. What remains when legends settle? In the final telling of the legend, there is no dramatic ending, no disappearance, no sacrifice, no final song echoing across the water. There is only continuation. The sea still moves. Storms still come and go. Humans still forget. Then remember. But beneath it all, there remains a rhythm, ancient, patient, forgiving, a reminder that rest is not weakness, and stillness is not absence. Those who listen carefully, especially at night, say they can still feel it. Not as sound, not as vision, but as a gentle release in the chest, as breath slowing without effort, as the sense that the ocean and the world are resting with you, and somewhere between waking and sleep, the mermaid sings, not to be heard, but to be felt. The sea rests with you. The sea is calm now. Its rhythm is slow, steady, patient. There is nothing you need to carry anymore. Nothing you need to hold. Like the tide, you are allowed to let go. Like the water, you are allowed to rest. If this story brought you a sense of peace, you are welcome to stay with Moonlight Stories, to subscribe, to return, and to share which legend you would like to hear next. For now, the night is quiet. The ocean is listening, and you may sleep